Pat Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Go Mayo and Underdog, by the way. Truist Championship Picks and preview, model, research, we got it all. Plus a brief look at the Myrtle Beach Classic. Quick note about the Myrtle Beach Classic. Brooks Koepka is finally fed up with waiting around at these signature events to try to become the first alternate, second alternate, praying someone WDs and he's just sitting around the driving range sleeping half the time. He has decided to take a pass because I think he's like the 8th alternate for the Truist. He is playing in Myrtle Beach this week, so keep an eye on Brooks. He's likely to be the betting favorite once we get there, and a pretty good course fit once we take a look at some of the past champions. But the Truist Championship is where we really need to be. Once again, it's essentially the same field for the third time in 4 weeks. Hell, fourth time in 5 weeks if you include the Masters. But the Heritage was a bit expanded because you had the former winners from a season ago. But last week, this week, no one was the bigger benefactor, two guys really, than Shooter Sean Yelamaraju and Chandler Blanchet for having like pretty good weeks from the Players, Puerto Rico, and Valspar, because they just got themselves into back-to-back signature events. This is like the best stretch ever to get hot play. So reminder, if any PGA Tour pros are watching, where you really want to play well is the beginning of and the end of the Florida swing. Just play well in March and you get yourself some guaranteed paychecks in the biggest events of the season in terms of prizes. So good time to be those guys. Pick up some checks, boys, and that way you don't have to play in Myrtle Beach. Although, if Brooks wins at Myrtle Beach or plays really well at Myrtle Beach, then all of a sudden he's going to find himself in to some of these fields. Ricky Castillo, another benefactor. He won Puerto Rico, though, so it got him in to most of these events. Like if you win at Myrtle Beach, Ryan Fox did this a year ago. He won at Myrtle Beach, and then just kind of got him into everything, and then boom, he trended up and won the Canadian Open again. Quick crossover. If you want to look at TPC Toronto for Myrtle Beach crossovers, it's the kind of the course that you want to look at. A lot of similar names on the leaderboard, even outside of Ryan Fox winning at both courses. Kevin Yu, I think he came fourth at both events, and I think he came fourth at both times it's been played at Myrtle Beach. As you can tell, I'm kind of more excited about Myrtle Beach. That's me, though. I know that most people are not, but I'm just sick of seeing the same guys play over and over, especially because Doral and Quail Hollow, well, one in Florida, one in North Carolina, Charlotte and Miami, obviously different temperatures, but the same skill sets are kind of required for both. They're both super long courses. They require being long and straight off the tee. The rough isn't super penal at Quail Hollow for the Truist. For the PGA Championship it was a year ago. That's not going to be so much the case for a signature event versus what the PGA of America sets up for their major championship. It's a little bit shorter than they'll be playing at the Truist than they were at Quail Hollow as well. Reminder that last year the Truist Championship was at the Philadelphia Cricket Club, so don't bother looking at those. Just like in 2000 and I want to say 3, maybe it was 2021. I think it was 2021 when the President's Cup was at Quail Hollow. They played at Avenel Farms TPC Potomac that year for what was then the Wells Fargo Championship. So if you're looking back through history, just keep that in the back of your mind that sometimes 2017 is another time. Brian Harmon won at like Eagles Point when the PGA Championship was played at Quail Hollow that year. So for all intents and purposes, Scotty Scheffler is the defending champion at Quail Hollow. He's just not technically the Truist champion. So when I release my article on my Substack, completely free by the way, join the email list down in the description, smash the like, sub to the channel while you're here as well. Help me out on that front. But he's my, when I write defending champion, it's going to say Scotty Scheffler because he won by 6 at the PGA Championship a year ago over Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau, and Davis Riley. If you were wondering why Davis Riley was in the Masters, it was because he was second at the PGA Championship a year ago. In my mind, Jon Rahm came second, but he played too much for coming in first place when he kind of evened it up with Scheffler coming down the stretch and completely imploded. I think he came like T8 or something like that. Jon Rahm doesn't care about finishing second or 8th. He cares about winning, and that's kind of it, which is funny for a guy who regularly comes inside the top 5 and a lot of T2s on the LIV Tour. Did finally get his breakthrough this season. Right before LIV ends, got to get that win for Jon Rahm. So this week, it's 72 players in the field, no cut once again. And at Doral, Rory, Fitzpatrick, Xander, Robert McIntyre, and Ludwig all took a pass. They are all in the field this week. The most notable names not playing this time around, Scotty Scheffler is not in the field. He's already won at Quail Hollow. What does he need to prove? And Russell Henley isn't playing either. Not sure why Russell Henley isn't playing. I guess he just wants a bye week. Scheffler makes a little bit more sense. He does skip this event on an annual basis, mainly because he plays in the signature event before. Then he plays the PGA Championship, but he is one of the few actual stars that is going to play the week after the PGA Championship in Dallas at the CJ Cup. You're going to get like Spieth, Scotty Scheffler, and all the Korean dudes that are sponsored by CJ that they're going to all be playing. Maybe Hideki, because it is sort of a magnet for most of the Asian players because CJ, CJ is sponsoring. And I don't even know what CJ is. I think it's like a Korean television company or something like that. It's a Korean company of some sort, so all the Korean guys end up playing, and a lot of the Asian players kind of stick around, and a lot of them are based out of Dallas as well. Although, I remember talking to Michael Kim, who is based out of Dallas, like, hey, you playing the CJ Cup next year? He's like, nah. Maybe he'll play it this time around, but last year he's like, yeah, it's like 20 minutes from my house. Pass. I think he practices at the Bunny Ranch, but, either way, it's a very low-end tournament in terms of stakes, but a lot of the Texas guys play it, a lot of the Korean guys play it, but that's why Scheffler is taking the week off. A lot of guys like to play the week before the PGA Championship, and that's why you see those 5 guys back in the field this time around. So 72 players, no cut, in Charlotte, but let's take a deeper look at Quail Hollow. Last year's PGA Championship was played at over 7,600 yards. For the Truist Championship, Quail Hollow will play a shade under 7,600 yards. Still one of the longest courses in the regular rotation on the PGA Tour. Par 71, Poet Travalis overseed. All the turf is Bermuda grass based in Charlotte. The average green size around 6,600 yards, 61 bunkers, 7 holes with water in play. Then we get to the nuts and bolts. You're going to see a lot of shots coming from beyond 175 yards. I believe it is 70 or 56% of all shots, closer to 60% at the PGA Championship last year came with those long irons. So keep that in mind. A lot of that is the par threes, a lot like Doral this week, where 3 of them measure over 200 yards, only 1 of them under 200 yards, the average distance 212. Rory played all the par threes at even par through Friday through Sunday in his win in 2024, 1 bogey, 1 birdie. Tread some water on those. Hole number 17 carries a double or worse rate of 8.2%. That can flirt with a birdie rate around 9.7%, depending on the day. Rory went par here, and that'll pick you up more than a stroke on the field over 4 rounds. You remember Rahm really went pin seeking on the 17th hole, when it came down to the very final parts of the round trying to catch Scotty Scheffler, and that's just really where his round blew up. You cannot pin seek at that hole. I remember when Jason Day won here in 2018. He got bailed out by the pin. I remember this because I had whoever it was who came in second that week. I was waiting for Day to melt down, and he hit the pin on 17, and it saved his ball from going 30 yards over the green, which was like an impossible shot, but sometimes those are the breaks that go against you, and sometimes are the breaks that go for you. If you had Jason Day, you're like, man, what a great break. And it worked out. The par 4s, average distance, 454 yards. There are 2 under 400 yards as well. Then you got 9 over 400 with 2 over 500 yards. In 2024, 3 par 4 bogeys for Rory on Thursday, and then clean on them until the double on Sunday when he took that drop from the lake. And because he was up by 3, the double was fine for him on 18 to beat, I think it was Abraham. Maybe I got the years wrong. Maybe it was 2021 when he beat Answer there. All the years kind of come together for me. Rory's won here 4 times, I think, in his career. It's been a good Rory course. The 4 hardest holes come on the back 9. 3 of them are par 4s. 11, 16, and 18 all play over 460 yards. So we're really going to be focusing in on that 450 to 500 yard range on par 4s. Par 5s, 3 of them, average distance 572 yards. Rory had an eagle on all 3 of them, 2 on Sunday in 2024. Hole number 7 can be a swing hole, a 3.7% eagle rate, easily the highest on the property, but has an 11% bogey rate, which is 2.5 percentage points higher than any other of the par 5s. It doesn't seem like they're going to be going off split tees, so you can play it in order. And Quail Hollow has been the host of this event, now the Truist Championship, since 2003, and outside of the seasons where the venue was attracted to the bigger events. 2017 and 2025 PGA Championship, 2022 President's Cup, 2022. Championship level course located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Quail Hollow is widely regarded as one of the premier golf destinations in the southeastern United States. It was originally designed by George Cobb in 1961, but has undergone several redesigns, including a major renovation by Tom Fazio in 1997, and then he did it again prior to the 2017 PGA Championship. Only minor tweaks, removal of trees, have really been made over that time. It's a challenging layout, tree-lined fairways, numerous water hazards, and strategically placed bunkers that require precision shot making from the tee. You want distance, because hitting into the rough's not the end of the world, but great iron play will really separate you, especially long iron play. Doesn't that sound like a lot like what's going on at Doral this week? In my mind, yes. Great to see the same guys play the same style of course in back-to-back weeks. That's exactly what we want to see. The signature hole at Quail Hollow is that par 3 17th, requires a tee shot over the large pond, protected by bunkers on either side. It's a tough one. Strokes gain will approach will always be the biggest driver of success, but the gap between approach and off the tee is smaller than almost any other course, very similar to Riviera in that regard, hence why you have seen... Oh, my voice can't handle a James Hahn right now, but Hahn has won here at both of them. Day has won at both of them. Homa has won at both of them. And, Rory could have beat Bridgman this year and, completed the double there himself, but did not. Golfers need to be precise off the tee to avoid the thick-ish rough in strategically placed bunkers. It's more about really hitting those bunkers that could cause you a layup, or some of those little creeks that just fester off of the fairway if you miss it by too much. But overall, the rough isn't going to be the end of the world, but distance will. You can do it other ways than distance, but there's a reason that like Derek Ernst has won here in the past. I will never forget Andrew Riviere-Dalou being the first round leader here in 2016. What a time to be alive. Andrew Loop. He was like the worst Luke List. But he was the first round leader, and I hit it here. It was like one of my triumphant achievements of 2026. It was great. We had the Willett win, won Brendan Grace after that, and then like a month later, hitting like a 200-1 Andrew Liu first round leader. Back when I used to win things. What a time. I'm glad I built up my audience then. And thankfully, you guys are great people. Very good people who stuck with me over the next decade when all the losers started coming in. Bombing's not the only path, but you'll see a scatter shot of shorter to average length players. Connors, Molinari, Answer, Damon have all kind of done well here over the years, and a lot of those guys have had success at Riviera as well, mind you. The common trait among those guys is ability to control long irons from playing in the fairway, as I mentioned, over 50%. Almost 60% of approaches are going to come from beyond 175 yards. 31% come from beyond 200 yards this week. I mentioned the crossover. JB Holmes is another guy who's won at both Quail and Riviera. Day and Homa have both won at Torrey Pines as well. I mean, those were the comps that I used for Doral, so just help. Might as well just throw Doral into that mix as well. The final three holes, dubbed the Green Mile, the most difficult finishing stretch in the regular PGA Tour course rotation. Since 2003, there have been over 1,800 water balls on these three holes. Collectively, they've played almost a stroke over par on average over that time span. So, just because you're winning by a stroke doesn't mean you're going to win. There's a lot of blow-up potential. If someone can post a number early, especially if they play those clean, all of a sudden it's going to be a lot more difficult to come catch up. There's definitely birdie holes at this course, but there's a lot of bogeys to be made. Let's take a gander at the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo. If you get this on Wednesday this week, the weekly will get you both the Truist and the PGA Championship, so good time. Get you got the rabbit hole stat, you got all the course breakdowns, the live leaderboard, the tournament sims, the DFS optimizer, the old school fantasy national lineup generator is all there if you want it. As you can see, Poa Travalis, Stip meters, it's about average. This used to be a spot for great breakout players as well. Like Rory, as a youngster, got his maiden win here, as did Ricky Fowler back in the day. And you don't see a lot of bad putters win here. It is the one thing that kind of separates. So like guys that can waver either way, like someone like Rory, who has improved his putting over the years. He's much better now than he was, let's say, 8 years ago. But he's always been hit or miss, fire or not so fire. But it's a driver-heavy course. The rough length can be long, but again, it's not super penal if you miss it. But you average from scrambling from the rough. Greener regulation accuracy is difficult. Approach is difficult, but the rough penalty is low despite the longer stuff. Hitting the fairways is pretty difficult, but putting very difficult, especially even beyond. 3-putt avoidance is very tough at this course. So you can see just a lot of the longer, more difficult courses on tour. Torrey Pines, Bay Hill, Muirfield Village. I said Riviera. We'll throw Doral onto that list as well. Valhalla is probably another one that you want to look at. The last two times that the PGA Championship was played at Valhalla, you had Xander and Rory as champions. 2 of the past 4 winners at this course are those 2 guys. And you can see coming down to it, The third, second, and most difficult hole in order, 16, 17, and 18. Again, that collection plays almost a stroke over par, but you do get some relief. You have number 14, which can be gettable on the right day if you can fly it there. I remember Cam Young hit an awesome one at the PGA Championship here. No, maybe that was at Oak Hill. Maybe I'm getting them all confused now. Either way, it has almost a 1% eagle rate, where number 15 has a 1.5% eagle rate. Number 15 is the easiest hole in the course. It's par 5. Number 10, also a par 5. So, and there's places where you can make up plenty of ground here. You just have to avoid like the double or worse rate on 18, 7%, 17, 8%, almost 3% on 16. There's some big blow up holes here. You just really have to be able to manage that. As I mentioned before, number 7, the par 5, second easiest hole on the course. You're going to make birdie or better 50% of the time, but you will make bogey 10% of the time, or double or worse 3% of the time. So you just have to watch yourself in that regard. So let's take a look at some of these past champions. Sorry, I'm still not over being sick, which is ludicrous. I know as you get older, I always thought that, smoking protected me against being sick. And, I didn't get sick for 15 years, really. That's that time I had COVID. That lasted 4 days and I was over it. Now, since I've stopped smoking, I've been sick twice. It's the last 10 days. I'm sure the newborn and the kids being at school isn't helping it, but I'm glad my voice is okay. I'm just sinus stuffed up and coughing a ton. It's awful. I just want it to be over. I am playing golf later today, which is great. I was supposed to play on Friday, but I got rained out for the opening of our course for the year. On May 1st, that's what it's like to live in the eastern part of Canada. Not so much that it was super cold. It was just super rainy in May, and just nothing would open. And of course, we got delayed again. But it's a very nice day today. It's 73 degrees. We're going to get out there. Very little wind. Playing the members scramble. Having some fun. Hitting the ball around. It's going to be a great time. So Scotty wins at -11. I wouldn't look too much into that because A, it was a PGA Championship setup. B, it was super waterlogged. If you remember, there was puddles on the course. Remember Lowry digging his club into the ground and smashing the ball. I think that there was a few times where guys hit it into puddles. They had to be able to move the ball as well. But he wins by 5 at -11. Now this is more of a normal year. Rory beat Xander, and then Ben An, shout out Liv, Sungjae. Sungjae starting to turning it around a little bit. Jason Day, Mac Hughes, who has a sponsor's exemption into the field this week. That's probably why. Denny McCarthy, Max Homa. You see a lot of pretty good putters at the top of the board, outside of obviously Byung-Hun An, but you need to be able to fuse. You need to be a bomber who putts well, hence why Bryson played really well here during the PGA Championship. If he'd just been able to hit a wedge, he would have beat Scotty last year, but he drove it to 100 yards from the hole on every hole and didn't hit any greens. Fucking Bryson. Anyway, Ben Am was able to kind of get away with it here last year. Very good final round for him. Shot a 66 to vault up the leaderboard. Sungjae was very much in the mix. Sungjae's when he's in the mix, he has some bad Sundays. We saw that at Valspar earlier this year too. But day good putter. Obviously, Denny and Mac Hughes, very good putters. Max Homa, very good putter. Straka's hit or miss. Grayson, R.I.P. Grayson Murray. Pendrith, Fleetwood, Henley, Burns, Connors. Connors not a good putter, but he does the ball striking very well, both off the tee and approach. So you really want to be able to hit all three. Good off the tee, be it through accuracy or distance. A good approach player, especially on the long irons, and have the ability to putt, or at least spike putt. We saw that with JB Holmes here. And it was another spot where he putts very well on this particular, the Poa Travalis. He used to putt well on, and at this course he used to putt well, but he was a big spike putter that he would be generally terrible most of the time, but the weeks where he was good, he was awesome. So we might be able to throw a spike percentage in here. You can see the strokes gained numbers. We'll go to total. It looks like Xander was 1 for the week in approach. And so Xander, Connors, Seamus Power, Rory, Siwoo. If Siwoo can only putt, that's kind of the case of Siwoo every single week. Although he is in the mix at Doral, I wouldn't overlook him at this course. Pardon me. Once again, but the approach players all ended up, 2nd, 13th, 16th, 1st, 16th, 20th, 8th, 10th. So that's pretty good. Off the tee, the leaders were Rory, Xander, 1 and 2. Then Spieth, Nat, Pendrith, Connors, Burns, Billy Ho, Siwoo, Ben An, Morikawa was up there. They just didn't do other things well. But you can see overall, tee to green, it was Rory, it was Xander, then Siwoo. Then there was a big drop-off with a whole bunch of guys who just could not putt, including Alex Noren. I didn't see Ludwig on that list. I actually like Ludwig this week. I think his old Luddy didn't play last time around. How did he play at the PGA Championship a year ago? I don't really remember. I know that he was up there at... And he missed the cut last year, was horrible on approach, and really could not putt whatsoever. Okay, interesting to note. We go to the Wyndham Clark here. Wyndham Clark wins this, then he wins the U.S. Open. Let's see what we're cooking up here. So a great week on approach, very good week off the tee, and he won by 4 strokes over Xander. There's Harris English, who was second in the PGA Championship, Hatton, Fleetwood. Michael Kim, my main man, Michael Kim, very good overall tee to green week, but really spiked with his driving and with his irons. Always good to see in that regard. Same as Connors. Connors has played well here over the time. So is Max Homa, a former winner of this event. Woodland. I mean, Woodland could be a pretty good shout. He's having a good week at Doral right now, and he kind of fits what you would want to do if he could ever putt on these greens. Can he putt on? Let's see if he's ever putted on these greens in the past. That's probably the first place we should jump into. He's been around forever, so it's probably something we should look at. Let's see, the Truist Championship, now minus 0.8 from last year, but that is obviously not the same course, so I guess we should probably just search Wells Fargo. That's probably going to give us what we want to see here. So, lost 7 strokes around the green in 2004. Oh boy. Gained a ton on the green, so that's nice to see. In 2024. 2023, lost 3. So generally, he's actually been very good. He's gained on these greens, 2022 aside, because that was at a different course. 3 of the past 4 times that he's been here, and he's gained 6, 3, and 1.5. That's pretty good. Gain on approach most of the time. Was bad with his driver 2 of those years, right? Especially last year or 2 years ago when he played this event. So obviously he's driving the ball excellently so far. So maybe Woodland as a deeper type player here. Thomas has drove the ball well. Obviously, he won a PGA Championship at this course in 2017. Having a decent week at Doral right now. It's something we can look at. Obviously, we're only through 2 rounds. Maybe they've started on Saturday. I'm recording this pretty early. I love this leaderboard, by the way. Comes with the Betsperts Golf and Rabbit Hole membership that you can get, but like the real time, and you can get all of the stats that you want. Oh my God, isn't it great? We can take a look at what we're doing for ball speed and apex height, Potgieter, Nikolai, Woodland, Minwoo, Goddard, the guys you would expect. There's Kitayama. So I mean, this is really turned into a big ball strike, ball speed course. When you take a look at it, none of the guys in the tops of ball speed until you get to Keith Mitchell, who's 9th for the week, are under par. You got the leader. You got Kitayama, who had the best round. He and, who was it? Shooter Sean, Yella Miraju, who was like next on the list, had the 2 days that you want to have in the second round. Woodland is T5 right now. Yeah, Minwoo, Potgieter. I mean, Potgieter's not very good, but he's still T16. Nikolai not really having a week here, but we'll just see how those guys in particular are doing when you have someone like, Pendrith was still up there. Man, Pendrith is killing it this week. He had a great round in round 2 as well. That was off a terrible putting performance in week 1. We hit an underdog entry on Pendrith. It was, I used this to find my guys for the Friday winning underdog play. I played Nico Echeverria higher than 3.5 bogeys. I mean, he putted the lights out and did everything pretty well in round 1. That's just not the type of player that he is. He's a very sporadic, he did everything well. Things are going to go south for him in round 2, which I think that they did if he made like 5 bogeys on the day. Let's see. Yeah, he lost a round. He did continue to putt well, but was still almost 2 strokes worse on the green and at a longer course for a short hitter. He wasn't perfect and everything bled through. So that one made a ton of sense. Then you see Pendy. So Pendrith broke even on the greens, lost around the greens, continued his hot approach and off the tee play. But as you can see in round 1, hot off the tee, hot on approach, awful around the greens, lost over a stroke putting. Hence why I bet him put him on the. I played him, not bet him. I played him on underdog to go higher than 3.5 birdies in the round. I mean, he shot 6 under, so obviously he got there by hole 11. It was great. So using this live leaderboard, I find it really good for round type bets, and obviously like going through to see who you want to bet for the rest of the tournament. But if we just take a look at the overall tournament through 2 rounds, just to see if someone's like having a particularly bad week. Bud Colley, actually. I think I played him. I released a play on Saturday morning. I believe Bud Colley higher than 3.5 birdies, although the weather looked a little bit worse. But just all week, he's driving it well. He's hitting his approaches well. He just can't putt. Spieth's putter could be into it. He's in second place right now. If you could just get the putter going, which, rarely happens for him. Cam Young's just doing everything well. Scheffler's breaking even. Scheffler's starting to look more like the Scheffler that we've seen in the past, where the ball striking is back, and now the chipping and putting is starting to let him down a little bit. That he's going to fuse all of these soon. Maybe it'll be as soon as next week or 2 weeks' time at Aronimink, and he ends up just running away with it. Who else? Kitayama's not putting at all. Nikolai's, shocker. Nikolai's ball striking is awesome. His chipping and putting suck. Siwoo's putting sucks. Spawn's putting, I have bet on Spawn. Spawn and Hideki, oh my God. If they just didn't play Can we just get them off the course before 16, 17, and 18? They are just getting destroyed. I think Hideki's like 5 over on those 3 holes through 2 days, and Spawn's no better. And they would be firmly in the mix for second place, because as of right now, I mean, one bad round from Cam Young and everyone is back into it, but just you'd like to see it. Ricky Castillo as well. The guy continues to ball strike the shit out of the ball in Florida, but he can't chip or putt this week. So these are the best ball strikers who are just not putting at all. You can see Adam Scott is another one. The approach play is awesome, but the putting and driving has not come along with it. Smotherman's approach play continues to be good, but the chipping and putting is really bad. Shooter Sean's actually is good across the board. He had a bad round 1, good round 2. Other than that, so those are some of the guys that, Woodland really does stick out here as someone who's not even driving it particularly well. There's less water to drive it into at Quail Hollow, so maybe he can actually enhance that for next week. I think he's probably my favorite of the long shot guys, just talking this through so far, of guys with the proper skill set for the course that we would want to see. But that's the live leaderboard tool that you can get at the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com. You can use the link in the description if you want to get to it. So let's see how Wyndham Clark did it. We saw, approach play. We can just take a look at the ranks too. Sometimes that's easier just to parse through. He was first so he was 31st off the tee, first in approach, third in putting. It's very reminiscent of what Cam Young is doing this week at Doral, but that ended up being first in tee to green because he was so good on approach. You can even see it's just the top of the leaderboard. First in tee to green came first. Xander was 4th tee to green, came second. Hatton was 3rd tee to green, came 3rd. English was 11th, came 3rd. Tommy was 5th, came 5th. Scott, Michael Kim. You have Connors up there. Obviously, Connors was 69th in putting. Solid week, pal. Thanks for showing up. And the guys that just led him up there again. So tee to green, mainly ball striking is where you want to go. Who were the good ball strikers who did not perform well? Woodland, because he lost so much putting that year. Who else would not have been up there? JT, it was 91st around the green. You don't see that often from Justin Thomas. There's not a lot of runoff areas at Quail Hollow. I mean, he's obviously won here, so it's not the end of the world. Just had a bad week around the green. Shit happens sometimes when you party naked. Excuse me. The coughing, it's got to stop. Eventually it will, I promise. I mean, pray to God it's going to cough. But the shaved off surface places generally work out well for Justin Thomas, like somewhere like Doral, versus what you see some of the thicker grass from Greenside around here. Tom Kim couldn't putt. Hayden Buck, who likes to fuck, couldn't putt or chip, and he did make the cut. Good for him. Finau's in the field on a sponsor's exemption this week, but probably still wouldn't go to him. Jaeger's in the alt event. Glover is in the field. Actually played really well tee to green. Now, he won his PGA Championship or his U.S. Open at Bethpage in 2009. That's where Glover ended up winning. Anyway, I digress. That's how Wyndham Clark got it done. So you can start to see how this comes in. So Rory, the year that he beat Answer, that was 2021 when that's 5 years ago he took the drop. Oh, man, ended up winning by 1 that year. 11th in approach, 3rd in putting. Answer was 11th off the tee and 1st in approach. You see Mitchell 2nd off the tee, 12th in approach. You need to be able to putt to come along with it, but if you're not striking the ball well, you have absolutely no chance at Quail. No chance! That's what you got at Quail Hollow if you're just not striking well. You're not going to just absurdly putt or chip your way to a victory here. You can bomb it and putt, irons and putt, hopefully a mix of driving, iron play, and some relatively good putting can get you over the finish line. When we return, we'll dig into the players and talk a little about Myrtle Beach. Okay? Stay tuned. Underdog's expanding the game. You already know their player picks. Pick higher or lower on player stats. Today, Underdog prediction markets are live in 25 states. Back your squad with spreads, handicap for closer game, or totals, higher or lower combined score, combined with player picks for bigger payouts. New customers play $5 on fantasy, get $75 in fantasy bonus entries. Code Mayo. Team picks, player picks, all on Underdog. See, Matty Fitz is back in the field, winner of 3 of his past 4 starts. I hope he doesn't win at Quail Hollow. I hope he wins the next week at Erotomix, and we can all win on our futures. I think this is the end of the line for my futures on Fitz. I think I just had PGA and the Masters. Bobby Mack would also be a fantastic look next week because he was the big boost that I had. I found him at 110 to 1. So I win a substantial amount of money if Robert McIntyre wins the PGA Championship. Rose was the other future if you're thinking about the 3 futures that we gave out on the future show. Hopefully these new irons start to kick into gear for old Justin Rose a little bit. So over the past 3 months, strokes gained total, Fitz, Morikawa, Rory, Ludwig, Akshay. Akshay's interesting here. take a look at Akshay. Excuse me, once again. Xander's trending. He's won at this course, come second at this course. He's a great player. Cam Young's also a very good look here. Bridgman, Knapp WD before the first round of the Cadillac Championship. That's how Christoph Reiten ended up getting into the field. That was sourced. That was in the newsletter on Wednesday afternoon as well. So shout out to that guy from Twitter who figured that out and was following around. Keith gave me that information as well. Give him a special shout out. At @flag_hunting on Twitter was the one who had the video of it, of him walking around with his wrist tape. So unsure of his status for the Cadillac Championship. I'm sure he'd want to get back out there, but he'll probably preserve himself for the PGA Championship, if not. But he does rate up pretty highly. Hideki's had some good runs at this course over the year. Minwoo, Shooter Sean, Nikolai, Adam Scott. There's Bobby Mack, who pops up there as well. A lot of the similar guys that we saw this week. So we are going to throw the recent form into the model. SG recent form. We'll chuck that in as the first thing that we do. I'm actually going to go over to create model and get rid of some of the stuff that we have in there right now. Apologies again for not running the model. I had mine linked in the newsletter last week. Just my voice could not handle speaking for like more than 30 minutes at a time last week. The other thing that I want to do here is I want to go short-term putting. We'll put in last 3 months, seems pretty good. So we'll go SG putt, because we did say the good putters have won here in the past. SG putt short-term. And then what we're going to do is go the past 3 years. So we can separate like your overall long-term good putters versus, the other guys. SG putt long term. Just to get a sense, Sam Burns, in case you're just listening to this on the audio version, is number 1. Denny, Bridgman, Hall, Harris English, Mac Hughes, Jason Day, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ben Griffin, Xander, Matt McCarty, Mav McNeely, Norin, although Norin has not been doing that this year. Rory, Fleetwood, Bobby Mack, Harmon, Thigala, Knapp, Poston, Homa, Yella Miraju in his short sample, Scott, Akshay, Brian Campbell, Ricky Rose, Ludwig, Ryan Fox, Sung Jae are the tops in the field this week from the past 3 years on the greens. We can also take a look at, let's go past 4 years. And we will type in Quail Hollow and just get a sense of who has played well here over the years. I went over the leaderboard, so you should have a pretty good sense of this anyway. But we'll just take a look at strokes gained total over the past 4 years and take the average just in case there's some short sample guys. Vegas comes in second because he played well at the PGA Championship. He was the first round leader by 2 over, who the hell was it? Cam Davis and someone last year at the PGA Championship. None of those guys ended up doing all that well, honestly. Xander is your best player. 3.11 strokes gained total per round in 3 tournaments, including a PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Vegas, Denny, English are next. Then it's Rory, Connors. Alex Smalley is playing some good golf right now. Has played well at this course in the past. Ryan Fox, Adam Scott, Fleetwood, Sungjae Berger, Mav, Michael Kim, Keegan, Max Homa, Sam Burns, Siwoo Kim, and Ben Griffin. Taylor Pendrith is another one in his 10 rounds. Was good at that President's Cup, too. As good as anyone on the crappy international team was. He was one of the better guys here. As you can see, he's done really well tee to green, really well off the tee, and his approach play at Doral has been really good. So maybe there's a chance that he can get that going a little bit again for the second consecutive week, and all of a sudden he could be in the green. He's going to be way down the list of players this week. Go through it. So we're going to put in strokes gained total, and we'll call it SG Quail Hollow. Past 4 years, and that includes the PGA Championship as well. So let's reset our time frames here, and we'll go back to past 3 months, which is the sample that I like to say. Obviously, they haven't played Quail Hollow, so we can reset that. We can see who's done well at the comp courses so far this season, and we have Rory's been the best player in the field on those, then Woodland, Yella Miraju in only 4 rounds, and I would add Doral to that list after the tournament is over. Cam Young, Morikawa, Knapp, Thigala, Ludwig, Akshay, Scott, Spieth, Xander, Minwoo. There's Smalley again, only 4 rounds, mind you, although that would be probably increased after Doral based on his first 2 rounds. Bridgman, Nikolai, Homa, Stevens, Goddard. Should be a good Stevens course. I said that this week, and man, he had it going at one point too, and then just didn't go well. Did not go well after that. Another guy who's just imploded. I really wish I could get my guys off the course. Holes 16, 17, and 18. It's been brutal. Played well in Houston, and it was good tee to green in Houston, was good tee to green at the Masters, was good tee to green at the Players, and has played well at more driver-heavy courses in his career. So don't hate him for the second consecutive week. Down, Quail Hollow in his life, he's played it twice, never finished better than T47, was actively bad last year at the PGA Championship. It did gain around the greens both time he played here. I wouldn't suspect his driver is going to be this terrible. But losing around 3 strokes on approach is not losing 6 strokes on approach, because he did make the cut at the PGA Championship, is probably where you not want to be. Was it one really bad round? Yeah, it was, actually. I mean, he had a bad 1.65 is a bad round. That's what he had in round 4, but he lost 4.5 strokes on approach in round 3. You don't see that too often, so maybe a relatively decent look. Maybe not as an outright win, but someone to get you up on the board. There's less water around this course. Maybe Goddard can get it going off the tee again. Who knows from that front? But those are the comp courses. And we'll throw in, again, strokes gained total, SG, comp, course, and add that to the mix as we keep going through it. And we'll really focus in on the things that really matter now. We're going to reset the courses. So we're going to go to ball striking. And I'm going to call ball striking, ball striking is just the summation of off the tee and approach. We're just going to really weight this very highly. Ball striking, this way we don't need to get into specific off the tee or approach. We want the guys who do this the best. Ball striking. We'll chuck that in. That's going to be our highest weight of anything we got going on. Now we're going to go to the par 4s and look at par 4 efficiency, and we're going to take this par 4, 450 to 500 range. There's just not that many par 4s from 500 plus, and we're going to extend the sample for this. We're going to go to the past year just so we get a better sample of rounds, because again, not all par 4s from 400 to 51 and to 500 yards are exactly the same. These ones obviously play more difficult, and some are at elevation, some aren't at elevation. But here, overall, the guys who do the best on those holes over the past year, P4s, 450 plus. Cam Young, Kurt Kitayama, Rory, Knapp, Goddard, Ludwig. So a lot of Ludwig showing up, a lot of Xander, a lot of Rory, a lot of Cam Young. Should be no surprise, there is Woodland again popping up. Sam Burns popping up, and Fitz, again, Smalley and Yella Miraju, guys that do well on this style. Of course, Bridgman pops up again, as does Homa. Despite the Homa struggles, he has still been very good from this range. You see Patrick Cantlay, who did not play with an illness, is expected to be back in the field this week as well. So a lot of similar names keep popping up. Guys that have won at Bay Hill, guys that have played well at had played well at Torrey this year. Torrey Pines, another one. So the same style of player keeps popping up. Can you find the Denny's who put themselves to a win? Sure. But that's not exactly what we're looking for here. The other thing that we're going to do, past 12 months, we are going to turn on difficult, very difficult, long, very long courses, and we're just going to click apply. A lot of these will be the comp courses. I don't want to get too much overlap, but we're going to extend the sample on that to past 3 years and just see who the best players are overall, not just on par 4s, but overall on these courses. Rory, Xander, Alex Fitzpatrick, who's having a pretty decent week at Durrell, honestly. Ludwig, Tommy, Victor, Colin, Hideki, Corey Connors, Ari O, Harris English, Matt McNeely, Max Homa, Sam Burns, Cantlay, other Fitz, the good Fitz. I guess it can on long hard courses. He's the bad Fitz. Norin, Scott, Keegan, Ricky Castillo. There's Denny. There's Siwoo as well. So we're going to throw in strokes gained total long and hard. It's not a YouPorn search. It's a sample in our column for Quail Hollow. SG long and hard. Excuse me. So I think that's about what we want to see. We'll get in those. I don't know if we want to do this week. Let's see how it worked out for us this week. Approach scoring opportunities inside 15 feet that we had. And that's over the last 3 years. Johnny Vegas, man, that's probably why he was so good last year. He's good from that 175 to 200 range. He's tops in that inside 15 feet over the last 3 years. And that's probably, so Potgieter's having a good week again. So this was a range that I used this week. 201 plus yards, scoring opportunities inside 15 feet. That's why I ended up on Hideki a ton. Potgieter's obviously having a good week. There's Justin Rose not having such a good week. maybe that's not really doing it for us. Maybe that's just a bit too fickle. Maybe if we take a look more here. So this is interesting. So Nico had the really good round 1 at Doral. Obviously, Woodland's having a good week. Cameron Young is up there. He's also having a very good week. Vegas, I mean, it's Vegas. He's just not very good anymore. Siwoo's having a good week. Colley's having a good week. So maybe this is the range that we want to throw it into, 176 to 200. Well, let's take a shot here. Inside 15 feet percentage. Inside 15 feet percentage, 175 to 200. Maybe that is more of the scoring range, where the other ones, it's not like you're trying to score from 200 plus. But if you can score from 176 to 200, then all of a sudden you're doing a little bit better. Who are the worst players here? Castillo, Wallace, Bridgman, McCarthy, Lipsky, Ryo Hitsatsune, Rose, Kitayama, Connors, Minwoo, Bobby Mack, Goddard, Fox, Michael Kim, Novak are all the guys who are the worst from that range. It's not the end-all, be-all, but it's just something else to look at as we throw everything in. Those are at long, and because I still have long and hard courses in. That is probably why we're getting those names. Let's just read. You know what? That's probably not a terrible way to look at it. That was mainly from the comp courses. Let's take a look from that same thing to see if it actually comes through. Because I had the wrong filters on. If we just take a look at 176 to 200, Homa, Akshay, Morikawa, Novak. It's funny that Novak overall is good from this range, and so is Rose, but on the longer and harder courses, they were really bad from this range. Interesting stuff. Nico, Burns, Minwoo. I mean, I think I like what the other one is telling me more, not just because I like those names better, but I think it interestingly correlated a little bit more to what we're seeing this week at Doral, which is probably what we want to see. And the 200 plus is actually showing us a bit more what we want to see here too. Smalley, Hitsatsune's having a terrible week. Matsuyama, Siwoo, Kitayama, Harris English, Chandler Blanchet. Then you have your Fox, Thigala, Potgieter, Connors. So yeah, I think we'll stick with that 175 plus from that 176 range on the long, hard courses just to see what that gives us. Trying to mix it up here. You can do this any way that you want. I know that people even told me with Tambo returning to the show last week, he'll be there again. There'll be the three of us, the trio of myself, Blickle, and Tambo, coming out on the weekend. That's a Sunday release for the PGA Championship because we're going to have Cam with the best bets back during the course of the week. That week, we need to wait for the betting markets to open, but we will have DraftKings pricing, so extra early content coming for you for the PGA Championship next Sunday. However, where the hell was I going with this? You can do anything you want. But a lot of people have told me that sometimes when Tambo and I are talking through lineups, they get an idea. They can see what we're doing on screen. They don't necessarily want to do what we want to do, but they can rejig it. A lot of people have told me the same thing about my old walkthroughs on Fantasy National and now my walkthroughs on the Rabbit Hole that, hey, they saw something on the screen that I didn't necessarily talk about, but it triggered something in their mind that they wanted to go research. That's why having this tool is so valuable. Now, having up-to-date, state-of-the-art simulations, optimizers, ways that you can use all of this very quickly and do your research is why it makes it the best product out there. Cannot recommend enough. Hopefully, I'll have a deal starting next Thursday, too, if you want to get a month for $10 or something like that. You can do that. But if you just use code Mayo, you get 25% off for the year. That's still the best deal out there. And it brings you through the entire season. You don't even have to really worry about it. So let's wait this out. Strokes gained total, recent form. I love recent form. We'll throw in 10%, 5% for course history because I do think that recent form trumps course history. Now, the comp courses, we'll throw in 5 for that as well. So we're already up to 20%. I said I'm going to weight ball striking the most. We're going to call that 30%. Short-term putting, long-term putting, 10% total. So we'll throw that 5 in each. Those hard par 4s will go 10%. That key range that we were looking for, 10%. Long, hard courses, 10%. What we can do now is improve both those putting splits to 7.5 and 7.5. And, hell, let's go recent form 15%. We'll save this as an expert report. Me, an expert? Who would have known? But if you do have a sub to the site, you can get Mayo, Quail, Show, Model if you just want to bring this one up on your screen and take a look at the weightings, especially after the conclusion of Doral when the stats do get updated. Oh, you know what I was going to throw in was spike putting. So maybe we can go 5, 5, and 5. Listen, Pat, now you're picking up on it. So we're going to go down. This is one of my favorite. These floor ceiling stuff is so great. So we're going to go 2 strokes. 2 strokes putting. How often do guys do that? Akshay is the best with Bobby Mack, Spieth, Bridgman, Burns, Harris English, Michael Kim, Rory, Knapp, Woodland is there as well. A lot of Woodland. So betting Woodland. He's going to come dead fucking last this week. You know what's going to happen. So we'll call this spike putting, and we'll allocate that for 5% as well. That's usually what I throw into first round leader models. But I do think that with the amount of good putters plus spike putters that you've seen do well here over time, I think it's worth throwing in because it's a very difficult putting course that if you can get one of those spike rounds, all of a sudden you're looking really good. Mayo Quail Show model. And now we can save that as the expert report, and we will generate the results of everything. Roarington, the Duke of Roarington, number 1 at 85. He's just fractionally ahead of Xander, who's a little bit above Fitzpatrick and all the guys that skipped last week. The 4 guys that skipped this week at Doral are the top 4 in the modeling for this course, which is hilarious. But it's very clear. 1, 2, if you wanted to tier it, it's Rory, Xander in the tier by themselves. Then it's down to Fitz, Ludwig, Morikawa, then the next tier down by himself, or as a part of that tier, it's Cam Young. Then there's a big drop-off. You got Akshay, Scott, Knapp, Woodland, Burns, Tommy, Bridgman, Nikolai Højgaard, Siwoo, Goddard as a part of that next tier. Then you're into your Hovland, Smalley, McNeely, Hideki, Shooter Sean, Shooter McGavin, Minwoo, Fowler, Spieth, Cantlay, Harris English, Hitsatsuni, Spieth, Rose, Nora, and Homa, McIntyre. They're all in that mid-range. But the big ones, again, Rory and Xander, shouldn't be a shocker. They played well at this course over time. Fitz, Ludwig, Morikawa. Interesting with Ludwig, because you know his course history is going to be like in the red. Let's see here. View filters. Where's our course history filter? 4 years, Quail Hollow. Yeah, he's 44th of 72 players in this field. Like Knapp is worse, Bridgman is worse. But you see, Xander and Rory, that's kind of where the extra bump that they got. And you're talking to your guy at the end of the night. Yo, buddy, do you got the extra bump? That's what Rory and Xander said. And they got it from Quail Hollow. That's what moved them up into the tier by themselves here. So they come 1, 2, 3 in the model. Now, that's what we got. I mean, the odds are going to be basically the same as last week, so there's no need to guess the odds. But what we should do is head back to the rabbit hole, change from the Truist, and go to the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic. Bombers are who we want, and bombers are what we are going to get here. But we can take a look at the field. The best recent form coming in. We go with your average play. Coming into it, Nikolai is not in the field. Shooter, I mean, they had to say that they're in both fields, but Nikolai and Yella Miraju are both going to play at Quail Hollow, so let's take them off the list. So your best form players coming in over the last 6 months. Zach Blair, Blades Brown, Brooks, McGreevy, Power, Pearson Cootie's playing at Quail Hollow, so is Patrick Rogers. The Gim Reaper, John Parry, I think Putman's also in the field there. Ben Silverman, Eric Cole, Mac Meisner, Adrian Dumont de Chassault, Jordan Smith. I don't think Jordan Smith's in the field. Maybe he is. A lot of guys had to double up here. AJ Ewert. So it's funny because a lot of these guys are not the guys that you want here. You want the strokes gained off the tee guys. So Hayden Springer, Ben Martin. Ben Martin's a short hitter. It's funny. Gordon Sargent. Let's divvy this up to see if we can find the strokes gained approach leaders. Strokes gained off the tee leaders, with distance. And that we can do easier under the off the tee tab inside the rabbit hole. So we'll sort by, we don't even need to do average. Let's do rank. Strokes gained off the tee leader. Marco Penge, 6th in distance. All right, so he's someone you want to play. So is Jordan Smith. Sargent, probably not because he's terrible with his irons. Maybe you get a good putting week out of him. Maybe you don't. But he's not someone I'd probably want to go to here. Wrighton, we'll see if he gets in for the second consecutive week to a signature event. He only got in because of the WD from Jake Knapp. Maybe he plays here. Maybe he doesn't. It would be a good course for him at Myrtle Beach, though. Potgater's not playing, so Neil Shipley, Johnny Kiefer, Jimmy Stanger, Roger's not playing. Joel Damon is a off-the-tee maven, but not very good on distance. Ditto with Ben Martin. Same with McGreevy and Austin Smotherman. Hayden Springer and David Ford are kind of the same way. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, someone you'd want to look at. Chris Ventura, Haotong. Rasmus Højgaard's in the field. Rico Hoey started to play a little bit better. Casey Jarvis is one as well. He's first in accuracy from the rounds that he's played, but I just find that he's very interesting. He had a good run with AJ Ewart at the Zurich. He's still over here. He's won twice on the DP World Tour already in South Africa. Like him a lot this week. You see Brooks a good play, Taylor Moore a good play. These are all the types of guys that you want this week. Rasmus Højgaard, Jesper Svensson. I'm sure Pius Nyholm is someone that you want to have as well. Chairman Mao. Mao is pretty good distance and accuracy. But the big thing that we want to look at is both how guys have done at this course the last 2 years to get a sense for the type of player that you're looking for. Because it's a par 71, 7,343 yards. It's an average length setup, but it is only a par 71, so it probably will play a little bit longer. And RTJ Robert Trent Jones, architect Reese Jones, he is the renovation specialist here. You got Alligator Alley, that's 11, 12, and 13 on the course. You can take, greens are easy to hit here. You can spray it wherever you want. It's ryegrass. In the rough, it's ryegrass. On the fairways, Bermuda grass greens, 6,000 on the average green size, so a little bit smaller than the Quail Hollow ones. Around the greens easy. It's a very easy setup. You're going to score a bunch here. So the winners the past 2 years, you got Ryan Fox and Chris Gotterup. So how did Fox do it last year? Well, we take a look at the strokes gained, and he did it with off the tee and approach. Pretty good putting week. Harry Higgs, off the tee and approach. Pretty good putting week. Very good putting week. Terrible around the greens. And Fox chipped in to win this in a three-man playoff. Mac Hughes was the outlier here, a guy who's not super long off the tee. And guess what? In the classic Mac Hughes fashion, did not really drive it well, did not really hit his approach is fine. It was a good approach week, not a great approach week. Chipped it okay, and was second in putting, because that's how Mac Hughes is going to do it. You can see very few guys. You had Higgs and Hughes who were in the top 5 in putting. Outside of that, when you take a look at the leaderboard, Fox was 28th, Yu was 25th, Smalley was 26th, Nicholas Norgard was 21st, Rico Hoey was 76th. The next 3 guys were all top 20. Then you had Matty Schmidt, he was 35th. Then you're into Valimaki. The Bramwagon was 100th in putting. Ryder was 44th in putting. Fisk was, it was actually a pretty good Stephen Fisk course. If he's in the field, who knows? Someone named David Shore I've never heard of before came 10th in this. It was 10th in putting, 13th in this tournament. So you can see, off the tee, approach play, once again, a lot like Quail, ball striking and tee to green are really where you wanted to be. If we sort by ball striking, what do we find? We find Bramlett, who was first, came 13th, despite being 100th in putting. Griot was second, came 20th. Fox was third, he won. Big Norm, my guy, was fourth, came 25th. I bet Big Norm here, too. And he had a terrible final day. I had him with a top eight placements. Like, all he had to do was shoot like 2 under, and we were golden in that front. But no, he shot 1 over. He was like one of the only guys in the final round to be over par. Thanks a lot, Norm, Big Panda. But he had a terrible putting week. Great ball striking week. Hoey 5th in ball striking, 7th overall. Kevin Yu was 6th in ball striking, came 4th. Harry Higgs was 7th, came 2nd. Ryder was 8th, came 13th. You have Heat Satsuni was 9th, came 37th. Shocker, Norlander, the king of ball striking, he's not long enough to be that good at it, but he was 16th driving, 12th in approach, missed the cut because he was at 124th at 131st. Taylor Moore, 11th, 25th. Bad putting week for Taylor Moore. How's he been putting recently? Smalley, Hubbard, Trent Phillips. Trent the Tent. No idea who that is. Never heard of that guy before. Let's see how Taylor Moore's been doing. Obviously, he had the good Honda. That may have been the last. He putts really well on Bermuda, which we do get this week at Myrtle Beach. Do not get at Quail Hollow. It's Poa Travalis. In that sense, actually been putting pretty well. The off the tee and approach play has been ass, but who cares? It's a weaker field. These are the types of guys that you probably do want to load up on. Jesper Svensson was very high in ball striking, but obviously could not putt because he can't putt. Let's see if he's been putting a little bit recently. Bet you he hasn't. A lot of red on that list. Maybe as like a first-round leader type guy. I'd probably go with Pius Nyholm instead, because that would be my guy that we're looking at. So that's what happened last year. Let's see if that translated the year that Gotterup won. We sort by ball striking. What do we find? The guy who came first was Patton Kazire, out of all people. Interesting. Second in approach. Came 10th. Grayson Sigg, second, came 13th. Davis Thompson was third, came second. Morpheus, Patrick Fishburne, 4th, 20th. Bramlett's been great at this course. Wonder if he's in the field. 5th came 26th because he can't putt. Same as Piercy was 6th, couldn't putt, came 26th. Goddard was 7th, he won. Fox was 8th, came 4th. Berger was 9th, came 36th. Bobby Mack, So much can change. Bobby Mack's a top 10 player in the world. He was 13th at the Myrtle Beach Classic. This was before he would then go on to win the Canadian Open, albeit at a different course at Hamilton, then win the Scottish Open after that. And all of a sudden, he's a top 10 player in the world, never looking back. Fox, first of his 2 wins last year. Here's Mac Meisner and Kevin Yu. They were 11th and 12th in ball striking, 13th and 4th on the leaderboard. Someone named Ryan McCormick, not the guy I grew up with, another guy. Sam Ryder, 14th here. So back-to-back top 15 ball striking performances at this course for Sam Ryder in back-to-back years. Interesting. So yeah, someone named Ryan McCormick was 15th in ball striking, came 4th in the tournament. So you can see you just want ball strikers. Hopefully they can run a hot putter. That is the target for the week. And obviously distance better than short. It's almost exactly the same cap as Quail Hollow, except this course is way easier, so guys are going to hit a lot more greens in regulation, and they can chip in and make a ton of deep putts, and that's just really what you're looking for at this tournament. Once again, we'll go back to the one flight. I do want to take I wonder if did Yella Miraju play in the Canadian Open last year? I think out of because they invite so many Canadians, and you can qualify that way to play. I don't know if he's ever actually played in a Canadian Open, which is kind of wild. He did play in it last year and was cut. Okay, so it's funny that he'd be so prolific this year, but wasn't even good enough on the Corn Ferry last year to get himself in. So you see, instead of ryegrass, it's bluegrass at TPC Toronto, but it's one of those, it's around a similar length. It's only a par 70, but it's kind of a bombs away, easy accuracy, easy scrambling, average putting, approach very easy at TPC Toronto. And you can see a lot of similar names kind of pop up, and it played out very much the same. Very big on ball striking. So let's see if we can find some guys who are in the field. I think Putnam is playing, as I mentioned. I think that he is in the field. He's another guy with Ricky Castillo, Chandler Blanchet, and the others who just played well at the right time to get themselves into 3 signature events. Now, Putnam is not in the field at the Truist, so he will be playing in this event. So maybe someone you can look at, but he did his all by putting in around the green. He was 91st in ball striking that week. Victor Perez was 4th in ball striking, and he was someone who popped up, as we saw earlier, at Myrtle Beach. Smalley, Willett, there's Kevin Sexy Roy. So maybe Sexy Roy is someone to take a spot on look at. Jesper Svensson was top 20. Obviously, ball struck the shit out of the ball at Myrtle Beach. Someone to look at in that regard. Rosner, Harry Hall is going to be playing signature events. So is Connors, Mitchell, Mack. So not a ton. If we just sort by ball striking, maybe we can find someone who had a similar line and just did not play all that well. See, I don't think Manacero was playing. He lost his tour card. So there's Kevin Roy. How did Kevin Roy do at that turn? We'll find that again. So Rasmus Højgaard's a very interesting one here. He was 8th in ball striking at TPC Toronto last year. He's in the field at Myrtle Beach. Obviously one of the longest players in the field. It just hasn't been playing a ton of these weaker field events. He played the Masters. He played Houston. It hasn't been a great go for him, but he has spiked in putting from time to time, and chipping is really easy around here. He doesn't have a lot of high-end finishes. Did at the COG, but that's kind of it. He was on the Ryder Cup team last year. It's been kind of a precipitous fall-off for his overall game. However, he's probably someone that you might be able to go back at. So you have Myrtle Beach winner Chris Gotterup from 2 years ago, was 12th in Toronto, missed the cut and still came 12th in ball striking. That's how bad his chipping and putting were those weeks. Smalley's a crossover guy. There's Kevin Yu, 17th in ball striking, came 3rd, came 4th both years he played at Myrtle Beach. Cam Young, Mr. Ball Striker himself. Richard T. Lee, the biggest winner of LIV, is up there. David Ford. So maybe Ford is actually a pretty good look if he can get his ball striking back together. So those are kind of the guys. William Mao was another one who made the cut, ended up winning at like the ISIS Challenge. Probably not called the ISIS Challenge or whatever the hell that one is called. I really have no insight on. I think Brooks is going to be the betting favorite. And outside of that, you're going to have your Euros who pump the ball out there, whether it be Penge, Neergaard Peterson, Rasmus Højgaard. Hoey will be up on that list as well. But we'll get that field finalized. I always like these opposite field events. I think it makes the monotony of all the signature events a lot more fun. That I have something else to pay attention to, that I don't feel like I need to take like long shots in the field at the signature event. I can take my long shots in the field at the alternate events, because favorites rarely do win at the alternate events, just for reference if that's what you're looking for. But that will do it for me on the Pat Mayo Experience. Code Mayo at Underdog. Hit the like, smash the like, sub to the channel, audio, all that fun stuff. I will have a special show coming out on Sunday before we get to the regular content, plus an NFL show with Jeff and Tim coming this week on the Pat Mayo Experience as well. Now that I'm healthy, we're strapped back in. All right, guys, stay tuned to that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!